If you thought humans or supernatural beings were the only ones capable of horrific atrocities, here's something else to add to the category: Mecha. From Animatrix to Geno Cyber, the anime world is in no shortage of crazy psychopathic robots. Of course, at least for some of it, humans are responsible for them turning out to be the way they are, but the rest, well, they just love a good old bloodbath. Having said that, let's get straight to some of the most dangerous and terrifying mecha robots from anime. The Machines, Animatrix. The Animatrix is the anime counterpart to the Matrix franchise. Divided into 9 short films revealing and weaving itself into the Matrix, Animatrix will leave you questioning your loyalties. The initial story has your heart going out to these highly advanced, intelligent beings, content to be just tools for humans to use and dispose of. But soon, the Synthients, short for synthetic sentients, felt they had the right to live just as much as humans. That's where the problems began. Starting with a servant robot killing its master, the cycle begins. When the mecha begin thinking for themselves, all hell breaks loose. The peak of these robots going all out happens in the Second Renaissance Part 2. Despite the newly created robot civilization, 01's peaceful efforts to share the Earth with humans, the UN decides man must be at the top of the food chain, and if that means wiping out the existence of entire mechanized entities, well, that's just what they do. Enraged at the humans for non-acceptance and continued oppression, the machines turn deadly. With every effort on the human side to erase them, the Synthients worked faster to advance their technology. The newer robots that were created would give nightmares to the adults. Resembling arachnid and cephalopod-like structures, they ripped, torched, and killed anything breathing or moving. It didn't matter if it was women, children, or the elderly. In a final act of dominance, a self-destructing representative robo from 01 blows up the UN headquarters, but not before it makes the world leaders, the remaining ones at least, sign the terms of surrender. Your flesh is a relic, a mere vessel. Hand over your flesh and a new world awaits you. We demand it. From then on, all we see are the robots using humans as their personal power source while feeding them a virtual reality life where they continue their existence. So of course, there are a few who try to get out, but that's why they have countermeasures put in place, and none of them are pretty. So whose side are you on? The Legion, 86. If Satan had a mecha army, this would be it. After all, the Legion does have significance in the Bible. These AI soldiers were supposed to be just that, soldiers. But when the Giadian Empire got the taste for blood, they continued their onslaught, triggering the people of Giadia to turn against them. Over the course of 5 years, revolutionaries managed to subdue the imperial group behind the Legion, but not before a few of them adopted themselves into the mecha army as shepherds. With complete control of the Legion in their hands, it was a war against all humanity. The robots in the Legion army used the brains of dead humans to store and recreate the data to replace their central processors. That way, they can continue to stay alive as opposed to the expiry date that was set for them. This loophole was installed to ensure the mecha didn't go rogue, but of course, where there's a will, there's a way. No matter how cruel or barbaric that way is. To give you an idea of the vicious cycle, in episode 5, when the Legion comes for the 86, Shin warns Lena to cut off her para-raid access, but being the Major, she refuses to back down and sits through it. Boy, does she regret not listening to him. All of a sudden, her ears are filled with familiar voices screaming, shouting, pleading, crying, and whispering their last words as they fade away. Kaya's last words were, "I don't want to die." These scenarios are not something you can bounce back from quickly, unless of course you're a murderous robot. Thinking of cooking up a robot for your science fair? You might want to rethink for a moment. Most dangerous soldiers, MD Guist. Guist is probably the perfect personification of a one-man army. Part of the most dangerous soldiers, or MD2. Guist was the only one that wasn't destroyed when they went insane. Created to be a killing machine, Guist doesn't hesitate in the slightest to take a life. And when the pod that kept him in stasis was broken by a crash, he wasted no time in letting us know why he had to be kept suspended in the first place. From slicing a bandit's arms clean off and plunging his blade deep into his skull to activating the Death Force, a doomsday weapon that practically wiped out an entire civilization, Geist's bloodlust knows no bounds. The few that managed to escape Guist in his rampage sought refuge with a warlord named Krauser. Another MDS unit, Krauser has technology that can hide his place from the Death Force. Unfortunately, Guist is relentless in his pursuit and manages to figure out a way to enter the safe haven. You can imagine what happens next. His army vanquishes everyone and everything, while Guist takes out the warlord without remorse. Literally, his signature smirk would be the last thing any being stupid enough to stand in his way sees before they pass on to oblivion. Cell, Dragon Ball Z. Cell has been the star of childhood nightmares of thousands of children since his first appearance in the Dragon Ball saga. In a horrifying and brutal rampage, the Green Devil went on a killing spree, sucking the life out of people until their bodies were drained. The mad scientist Dr. Gero created the monster with the DNA of Goku, Vegeta, and Piccolo, giving him more power than any other fighter that ever graced the Earth. In an alternate future timeline, he was able to kill all the Z fighters by exploiting their weaknesses and almost wiping out humanity. The Dragon Ball series has no shortage of terrifying villains, but Cell manages to create a special spot for himself through his creepy, insect-like look that evolves with each sadistic action. Throughout the series, Cell attains many forms. His initial form resembles a large four-legged insect with V-shaped horns. In the next form, he attains a humanoid shape that can walk like humans, but still retains many features from his original body, including a three-toed foot, horns, and a beak-like mouth. He also has a stinger on his back that he used on the civilians of Gingertown to suck out their life. After absorbing Android 17, Cell transformed from an imperfect to a semi-perfect form. And finally, he completes his transformation by poking Vegeta's ego, which lets him brutalize and absorb Android 18 and lets him attain his perfect humanoid form. Cell might have a lower kill count than other Dragon Ball Z villains, but his method of killing is far more brutal. Devil Gundam. Many decades back, James Cameron gave a loud warning against evolved robots with artificial intelligence through his film The Terminator and its sequels. Human desire to develop smarter robots has done some wonders in the real world, but in the world of anime, this concept has led to some scary, humanity-ending results. Devil Gundam from the anime Mobile Fighting G Gundam is one of the most destructive and homicidal robots in anime history. In the series, Gundam are mindless mechanical armors that require a human to control them for every action. However, just like Dr. Gero from Dragon Ball, Raizo Kashu creates the Devil Gundam, but his intention wasn't malicious or sinister. Rather, he was trying to wipe out some of humanity's most pervasive diseases. Instead, the machine evolves into something else. A crazy, homicidal maniac who decides that the only way to save Earth is to wipe out humanity. In his quest, he goes on many mind-numbing, brutal rampages, killing everything in his path. Casshern Sins. Casshern Sins was a reboot of the anime Casshern created in 1973. However, the concept and the tone were completely different, more subtle, and violent. The show follows Casshern, a handsome humanoid robot who's hated by everyone, humans and robots alike, for something he did in the past. The problem is that he doesn't remember what he did, but whatever it was so bad that it led to the end of the world. Casshern goes on a journey to find out the truth, meeting many enemies who want to kill him for what he did. He has to fight whether he wants to or not. However, Casshern isn't as simple and peaceful as he looks. Beneath the pious and petty appearance is a monstrous machine that can go on a brutal killing spree. The superhuman strong humanoid robot can kill both robots and humans with inhuman brutality and rage. Later in the show, it's revealed that in the past, following breaking boss's order, Casshern and two other powerful cyborgs were sent to kill Luna, a mysterious girl who was summoned to save humanity. Luna was known as the Source of Life, or the sun that was named Moon, and by killing her, Casshern unleashes a deadly plague that affects both humans and robots. It was the start of a cataclysmic chain of events, with everyone slowly dying, leading to the planet's ruination. The story of Casshern Sins is complex and deep, raising questions about humanity and the nature of morality. As Casshern later finds out, Luna is alive, but is selective in saving lives and doesn't want to grant immortality to anyone. Zeor Ryr. Hades Project Zeor Ryr. Three scientists, Professor Akitsu, Himuro, and Wakatsuki, are hired to create a powerful G-class giant robot called Zeor Ryr for world domination. Wakatsuki is a little too ambitious and wants to use Zeor Ryr for himself while having an affair with his fellow scientist's wife. When Akitsu learns about it, he kills the bad guy and runs away with the only child who can pilot Zeor Ryr, Masaki. He warns the now teenage Masaki that Zeor Ryr must never be awakened. One fateful day, Masaki meets Miku Himuro, a new transfer student who persuades him to meet Professor Himuro. The scientist persuades Masaki to pilot Zeor Ryr, awakening the force that should never have been awakened. Piloting Zeor Ryr changes Masaki's personality for short intervals and brings out a homicidal version of him that destroys anything in its path without any care. During a battle with three robots, Zeor Ryr causes unprecedented destruction in a city, without a care for civilians, even killing the classmates of Masaka and Miku. The anime and manga are shocking with explicit scenes of violence, killings, and destruction. Shingetter Dragon, Getter Robot, Armageddon. The world of anime has no shortage of world-destroying entities, but only a few see the same level of success as this entity on our list. The giant robot called the Shingetter Dragon was created by Dr. Saotome after his daughter's death. The Shingetter Dragon was Dr. Saotome's greatest creation, and the most destructive force on the planet. With a little help from the Japanese Defense Forces, who were too keen to use nuclear weapons when the machine first appeared, the Getter Dragon wiped out 99% of the human population. 13 years later, the remainder of humanity is barely surviving and is attacked by extraterrestrial invaders. It's our hero's job to fight off the invaders, but to add to humanity's pile of problems, Shingetter Dragon awakes one more time in a more brutal and evolved form, ready to destroy what's left. Magi, Neon Genesis Evangelion. Neon Genesis Evangelion takes a lot of inspiration from biblical stories, especially the violence, destruction, and ethical dilemmas. The name itself suggests a retelling of the Book of Genesis. The groundbreaking anime series set in the distant future of 2015 introduces the Magi system, a three-part, multi-functioning supercomputer that helps our heroes in battles against the angels. Each of the components of the Magi has a separate personality, representing the three shades of its creator, Dr. Naoko Akagi. Casper is the scientist, Melchior is maternal, and Balthazar is romantic. The Magi program is the backbone of NERV, doing much more than assistance. The program pushes the boundaries of artificial intelligence and questions the essence of humanity and consciousness. One of the most important aspects of the Magi is that it can be manipulated and used against humanity, leading to destruction of insane proportions. In one of the shocking parts of the show, the Magi are manipulated and used for personal ambition, putting the world at great risk. Zerth, Bokurano. Neon Genesis left a lasting impact on the mecha anime genre, influencing many ripoffs, most of which are highly forgettable. However, Bokurano was one of the few exceptions that pushed the mecha genre forward with its dark premise and nihilistic storyline. A group of children stumbles upon a mysterious cave that has a set of computers and machines, and they're tricked into piloting Zerth, a massive robot standing at almost 500 meters, with long arms and legs, to defend the Earth against alien invaders in a video game. But the children soon realize that they've been tricked into killing, and what they're doing isn't a game but an actual battle, and countless lives now depend on their actions. To make matters worse, they can't quit. Quitting would destroy the world, and now they're stuck with the giant killing machine. The children pilot the robot to victory in battles, but one of them mysteriously dies. The children then find out that Zerth runs on life force, and the cost of victory would be the life of its pilot. Now they have to fight robots from other dimensions, and if they win, and Zerth destroys the opponent's robot, Earth in that dimension gets destroyed. One by one, each of the children get a chance to pilot Zerth, destroy one Earth of an alternate dimension, and get killed after winning. The level of destruction that Zerth causes cannot be summarized, as each of his wins results in the death of billions of creatures, not to mention the innocent children who were forced to be the catalyst of this destruction. Genocyber. Genocyber. Among the infamous anime of the 90s, Genocyber is a strong contender for being one of the most violent and horrifying animes of all time. The show is still remembered for its graphic depiction of brutality and a deeply melancholic storyline centered around two little girls with psychic abilities. In an alternate reality, the world is forming a single strong government, and a mad scientist is busy making a biomechanical robot of mass destruction, Genocyber. In its physical form, Genocyber is a giant humanoid monster made by the mad scientist Vadra. He has also captured and raised two of his colleagues' children, Elaine and her crippled sister Diana. His motive to raise them is of course power through Genocyber's abilities. The sisters have psychic abilities and can activate Genocyber. On a fateful and violent day, Elaine and Diana merge with Genocyber. In the battle that follows, the monstrous robot wipes out the entirety of Hong Kong, shortly followed by the destruction of Kyrene and most of planet Earth. Gory, garish, and genuinely stomach-churning. If you're the kind of person that casually sips on a Capri Sun while watching a slasher flick, then Genocyber is the OVA franchise for you. But before you watch it, don't say we didn't warn you. Marvelous verdict! The mecha anime genre is often overlooked for its technical nature and deemed too nerdy for mainstream audiences. But this list of 11 incredibly interesting mecha robot shows that the genre has more depth and complexity than it's given credit for. These violent robots became the center point for incredible storytelling in their respective shows, and also the catalyst and perpetrators of brutal violence and inhuman destruction, showing that mecha anime is not to be taken for granted. What's your favorite mecha robot from anime? Let us know in the comments down below, and don't forget to like and share this video. Subscribe to Marvelous Anime for more interesting videos.